You're listening to the Faith Breathes Hope podcast, episode number 77. Today I am back with author, speaker, and creator of the Consistent Profit Tree System, Benson Agbortogo, for part 2 of How to Build a Business with God's Blessing. Welcome to the Faith Breathed Hope podcast, where we gain inspiration and motivation from others who share their touching stories of renewing hope and discovering purpose in any circumstance. I'm your host, Christina Reisinger, and today we will be encouraged by another tremendously inspirational topic that will embolden you to release fear, begin taking small steps forward, and move into your God-given purpose to live and serve in this life. Join me for today's story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Faith Breathed Hope. I am Christina, and I am back with Benson Agbortogo today. Did I say it correctly, or did I butcher it?
Absolutely, you did it well.
And we're going to continue our conversation on building a business with God's blessing. So last time we talked about how the Christian model of business and the ideal mindset of going into business can be a little bit different than the secular model. There are some apprehensions that people have in starting thinking that maybe you have to have a nonprofit or you don't deserve to make enough money. So we addressed those fears and we addressed the comparison trap. And today we're going to talk about how to go ahead and move forward with that, building your business, but not only building your business, but doing so with God's blessing. So can you go ahead and just start telling everybody how this is possible?
Absolutely. You see, a lot of people, when they think about God, they think about God as a God who lives in the church. So they go to church on Sunday and they feel like when they leave the church, they leave God behind. But when you read the Bible, the first introduction of God is actually an entrepreneurial introduction. In the beginning, God created. Entrepreneurs create.
I love it.
So God is an entrepreneur. God knows business more than all the MIT, Harvard, Yale, Princeton professors put together. As a matter of fact, I've had clients who went to Harvard, who went to Columbia, and when I bring ideas to their business, they're like, where did you get that from? And I'll jokingly say, my boss. Who is your boss? I said, God is my boss.
Absolutely love it.
He knows more business. So God is a God of business. And when we go into business, God wants to bless our business. As a matter of fact, in Isaiah 48:17, I believe, it says, thou shalt remember the Lord your God, if you're reading from the King James Version, for it is he who teacheth thee to profit and leadeth thee the way you should go. As a matter of fact, if you read the entire Bible, you see profit in so many sections. You will never see the word non-for-profit in the Bible, but you see the word profit in the Bible. It's right there in so many places. So God wants us to do business and he wants us to prosper. Christina, one of the most humbling statements that God has told me that changed my life entirely, especially at the point when my business was struggling. And I went to God and I said, what is going on? God, why is this business not growing? God said to me, he said, son, I want your business to grow more than you want it to grow.
Oh, wow.
And I was stunned. But upon reflection, I said, it makes sense. Which father doesn't want their children to prosper? One of the things that was happening to me was I'll get up very early in the morning. I'll just dash out, go out, networking, trying to look for customers. And I'll come back home. really tired. I remember one night I was trying to read my Bible after coming back, but I was so tired I slept on my Bible. And I woke up the following morning, my Bible was twisted. And I said, oh God, I'm so sorry I slept on your book. But the pressure of growing the business just caused me to dash out again. And I kept on going like that for a long period of time. I was feeling dry inside, but I just kept going, trying to get customers. But I'll never forget this day. I was about to step out, and God said to me, Benson, where are you going? I said, God, I'm going to network. He said, so you're going to network to get more customers for your business? I said, God, you know it. Then he asked me a question that changed my life. He said, Benson, how many people do you think I know? I said, God, you know 7 billion people. He said, exactly. He said, and I can introduce you to any one of them to do business with you.
Oh, wow.
And the interpretation was, Benson. In my mind, I'm like, how dumb can somebody be to neglect the man who knows 7 billion people and claim that you don't have time to spend reading the Bible and listening to him in the morning before you go out? Because that's what I hear from a lot of Christians who are in business. When I say, how much time do you spend sitting at the feet of the master before going out there? They'll say, well, I don't really have a lot of time because I'm busy doing this, I'm busy doing that. I'm saying, you know, I fell in that trap too. I was busy with all of these things. And I neglected the man, the God who could give me wisdom, who would give me the connection, who could give me the introduction. And I was just stupid at that time, doing all of that. But after that encounter, everything changed. And I realized that if you really want to build a business with God's blessing, the first pillar in the business system that never fails is to love God. You have to fall in love with God. And when you love somebody, you are going to invest time with them. I said the proof of love is the investment of time. If I want to know what somebody loves, I just have to look at their calendar. So if somebody claims that they love God, but I look at their calendar and I'm seeing something else, then that love is just lip service. If we claim we love our children, I know you are big into children, I know you are big into family, Christina. If you claim you love your husband, if you claim you love your children, but you never spend any time with them, what kind of love is that? So the first pillar in the business system that never fails, so if you really want to build a business with God's blessing, is you really want to fall in love with God and give God the first place in your business. Invest time in his word, reading his word, because he will give you insights that no amount of hard work will ever give you to build your business. So that is the first pillar. The second pillar, quickly, is when you fall in love with God, you are going to love and appreciate yourself. So you're not going to feel like you're not good enough. You're not going to feel like you're not talented enough. You're not going to feel like, well, your product or service is not good enough, because God will show you as you spend time with him how valuable and how precious you are. So you tend to value yourself, and as a result, you'll now be able to love your customer as well. So I've just quoted in a summary form, Luke chapter 10, verse 27. Thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and you love your neighbor as yourself. In this context, your neighbor is your customer. So when the love of God is poured in you, you will tend to really love yourself. And when you love yourself, you'll be able to carry that love now and love your customer. And those three pillars, love God, love yourself, love your customer, you have them in your business, you have a foundation that can withstand any economic storm, and you can build any business on that foundation.
I think that is 100% the key to everything that we do is spending that time with God. I apologize for all those of you who are listening that we have dogs and I try to keep them quiet, but sometimes I cannot do that. But yeah, we have our time with the Lord that we spend personally. I like to spend time with my husband, spending time with God together. I feel like that is the best way to build a marriage and to keep a marriage strong. God is our foundation. And as a parent, spending time with the Lord and asking him how you should parent. And you know, when I say this, and I'm sure when you say this or any other Christian says, hey, we have better days when we spend time with God. That doesn't mean that our lives are perfect. It doesn't mean that we don't have all these circumstances. I mean, you guys can hear in the background, I'm guessing, the chaos, the loudness that comes in our home. But the thing is that we are better equipped to put on that armor, that, you know, we write that scripture on our hearts so that when things happen, we're more prepared. We have more peace to be able to walk through it when we necessarily or wouldn't necessarily do so in other times. I do have a question for you though. So one of the things that I think a lot of Christians struggle with is this point where you don't work on the Sabbath. You know, so it's very hard when you need business and you say, oh, well, people call during this time. And, you know, a lot of people have this place where they have direct business hours, but there are other times, especially entrepreneurs, where maybe they need the money and they don't want to turn down the business. And so it's hard for them to say, hey, you know, I'm supposed to honor this, but I really need the money. Do you have any words of wisdom in this area?
Absolutely. When I started my business, I had that mindset that there was no boundary between business hours and my personal hours and family hours. But I realized that it wasn't serving the clients and it wasn't serving me. And I really came to a place where I put my trust in God, that the people who are supposed to work with me, so long as I'm reaching out there, I will be able to connect with them. But I also have to put a boundary between the time that I'm working, the days that I'm working, and the time that I have to be with my family and with myself. And I think about 4 years ago, I made the decision that I wouldn't even take a phone call if it's not an appointment. And everybody just said, oh, you're going to lose business. Man, you mean you wouldn't answer your phone every time it rings? And all of that. And then, of course, you know, I made it clear to that, you know, Saturday was family day. So I don't work on Saturdays except, you know, something is really going on. And I take off a Friday and I dedicate that for the family. Then I work on Saturday to balance it up. Sunday, of course, is no go. It's not even something to think about. But a lot of people criticize the move. But over time, I've been able to train the people who are working with me to realize that, okay, if you really want to get something out of with Benson, set an appointment. And I explained to people that the reason why I made those rules is not because I want to feel important. It's because I really respect and value other people's times. Because I hate calling somebody when they're in a meeting, or maybe they are talking with their husband, or maybe they are with their child. It's rude to interrupt them. So if I don't want to do that to somebody, I don't want somebody to do that to me. And since I set those work hours, and also decided that people only talk to me when they have an appointment, everybody has understood. As a matter of fact, business has actually grown rapidly. So the things that people are afraid to do, they don't realize that it's actually holding them back. And if you trust God, that if you honor the Sabbath and give God a time that he expects you to give him, it is he who is going to prosper your business, then you won't have any problem doing that. So it really comes down, Christina, to the issue of trust. Can you trust God to help you build and grow your business 5 days a week or 6 days a week? And you can set that one day aside. I'm sure when Chick-fil-A decided to close on Sundays, there was a lot of criticism from the very beginning. Which restaurant business will close their business on Sundays when people are out with their families eating? Man, you're going to lose so much business. But over time, Chick-fil-A has made more money than the other fast food chains, because it is the blessing of the Lord that makes the rich and add no sorrow. It's not our hard work or our sweat and all of that. No, it is the blessing of God. So anybody who is struggling with taking off the Sabbath, I would say you are doing yourself a disservice, and you are not giving God the opportunity to sharpen your saw. Because if you keep cutting down trees with a blunt knife, you are using a lot of energy, but you are not going anywhere. In fact, Ecclesiastes says, when the axe is dull, more strength is required. When the axe is dull and the blade is not sharp, more strength is required. So if you don't give God an opportunity to refresh you, to rejuvenate you during the Sabbath, so you come back to your business fresh with a sharp sword to cut down more trees and faster, then you are doing yourself a disservice.
Setting those boundaries is so important. Now, when I want to ask you a couple of questions and then we'll wrap up. But number one, when you are trying to spend time with the Lord, do you, as a business person, schedule that in? Is that, you said this the first thing? Do you do it as a reminder to make sure you actually have that block of time? Or do you kind of have a more free-flowing thing because we don't want to put limits on God? I have a tendency personally to say, hey, that's the first thing I'm going to do. But then if I don't limit myself, I don't want to jump into the, hey, let's get into the work thing. And it can be an extended time. And then you get panicked because you're like, oh my goodness, I've wasted part of the day. And it's not a waste because it's with God, but you feel like, hey, I'm supposed to be doing something else. How does that look for you? And how can you encourage others to do that and not feel rushed, not feel like they're checking a box?
Yeah, again, just like any other relationship, first of all, God is with us 24/7 everywhere we go. But it's good to have that dedicated time. So for me, I have a time that I've budgeted on my calendar. In the morning. When I wake up, I want to be with God. And I don't want to go into how long or how short that time is, but my goal is to be consistent. Excuse me. Because that consistency makes me to know that, okay, this time has been set aside for God, for me to meet with God one-on-one. Just like Jesus, rose up early in the morning and he went away from his disciples to be with his Father. So that's the approach I take. And I'll go there and spend time reading the word, spend time praying. And there are some days when it goes a little bit longer, which is okay. And there are days when, after a few minutes, the one verse or two verses or three verses that are really speaking to me for that day are meditated upon, and then the prayer is done. And then I submit my entire calendar for the day to God. I'll just say, God, my calendar is yours. You are the chief editor of my calendar. My time is my life. And I'm going to surrender my life to you. So surrendering my calendar to God is like surrendering my life and taking up my cross for that day. So I'm not a slave to the schedule that I've created. I am going with the direction of the Holy Spirit throughout the day after spending that initial time with him in the morning. So as I'm going, there are moments when something that I've had scheduled on my calendar is completely different from what he leads me to do. So I go with the flow because he is directing me to go with that flow. That's what I call my Samaritan moments. Because the Good Samaritan did not have the man who was beaten by thieves on his agenda, on his calendar that day. But he stopped and he took care of the man, and Jesus used that as an example to show us how we need to love our neighbors. So yes, there's that initial time with God during the morning, typically in the morning, but throughout the day when I submit my calendar, I am going and I'm listening to what he's leading me to do. And if there's an activity that is different from what I have on my calendar, then I go with it if I have the peace that God is leading me to go with it. But if I realize that it's a distraction, that's when I'll fight against it. So I would say for those who are just starting, or those who used to spend time with God and they have not done it for a while, the mistake I see many Christians make is when I talk to them about spending time with God. They'll say, yeah, Benson, that's a good idea. Tomorrow I'm going to start with 1 hour. And I said, don't try it. You are going to fail miserably. Why don't you start with 5 or 10 minutes, but make it consistent and then build from there? God definitely understands. So that is how my approach is in spending time with God. Is a designated time on my calendar every day, and then I submit my calendar to God, and then throughout the course of the day, I'm paying attention to listen to his direction.
I love it. And what better way, or no better way, to get his blessing on what you do than submitting your schedule and your calendar to him. That's fantastic. Then I know we're kind of running out of time. I did want to see if maybe you had any last bits of encouragement for those people who are wanting to start a business. Is there anything that you would want to say maybe for the people who are struggling with whether or not they should have a Christian business just versus, and maybe this is a whole other topic in of itself, a Christian business versus a business when they're a Christian, but anything you want to offer?
Yes, I mean, I would say there's a Christian business or I don't even know how to distinguish those two, because as a Christian, you are a Christian. So when you start a business, your values are going to carry over, as you serve people. Obviously, you cannot sell your product or services only to Christians. You have to be open-minded to sell your products or services to other people who are not Christians, accordingly as well. But I would say if you have been having an idea and you know that God is giving you that prompting to step out and start a business, go for it. And I want you to understand that you have the most amazing business partner with you.
Yes.
See God as your business partner.
I love it.
And if your business partner is prompting you to go into business, that should take away all kinds of fear. Just think about it this way. If Bill Gates were to come to you and say, hey, let's start a business, how will you feel? Because Bill Gates has all the resources. He is experienced in business. He has a lot of connections. But you and I know that God is more powerful than Bill Gates. And God has more money than Bill Gates. And God has more business sense than Bill Gates. And God has more connections than Bill Gates. And God is tapping you and saying, hey, I want you to start a business, go for it. Because this is the way I see it, Christina. Every single day, people are praying to God. God, help me. God, help me. But God is also looking on this other end and saying, who are my children that I can give them ideas so they can develop businesses and use those businesses to answer my children's prayers?
Yes. I've been lately
people to really partner with. And so if God is prompting you to start one, know that God is with you and he will not allow you to fail. So step out by faith and start that business and trust God to guide you step by step to succeed.
Yeah. And yeah, I've really lately understood God as a mindset coach. He's going to set in the confidence and the significance of us and our minds and who we are in his kingdom. And when we serve him, we're going to prove how good he is and all of his goodness. Sorry, I'll get it out in just a second. But, it has been fantastic talking to you. And I wish that actually we even had more time, because I'm sure there's so many different directions we can go with this. But I would love for you to tell the audience where they can find you and all the places and, the things that you have to offer as well.
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, which is my primary social media. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. That will just be fine. But I like to always give gifts because I believe that it's more blessed to give than to receive, even though there's nothing wrong with receiving. My books are also on Amazon, so you can find them there and you can buy them. But one of the books that we have talked a lot about today is The Business System That Never Fails. It's a book that literally transformed my life. And I want it to be in the hands of every listener. So you can actually pick up a free electronic copy at consistentprofittree.com/ebook. That's consistentprofittree.com/ebook. And I know, Christina, you're going to have that in the show notes. So you can go there and you just need to let us know the best email you want us to use to send you an electronic copy of the book, and you receive it immediately in your email, and you can start reading it. Don't just read it, apply the principles that you are gleaning from that book. And whether you are starting a business or you want to grow one, or you started one and is struggling, you want to take it off, there will be something in that book to help you to take your business to the next level.
Yes, that sounds like a fantastic gift. Thank you so much. And, just this idea of God being our boss, God being the business partner that we need, that starts your mindset in the right direction and builds confidence. And we appreciate you relaying that, because a lot of times I believe that we know things, we have knowledge, but we need reminders. And that's why God gives us fellowship. And that's why he gives us other people as they are of service to his kingdom. And so thank you so much for sharing your story and spreading the word. We really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate you being on Faith Breathed Hope, Benson.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christina. It's been a pleasure serving you and your audience. I know we had a couple of hiccups with background and all of that, but I want to let everyone listening know that is what life is. There are times when things will happen that you didn't plan them that way, but you get the best out of it and you move forward. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to serve today. And I believe that your audience will continue to glean from all the wisdom you've been sharing with them.
I hope so too. And we are blessed to have you. And for the rest of you, continue to be blessed and bless others. And we'll see you next time.
God bless.
Are you looking to enhance your homeschool curriculum by learning about the Holy Land? Or maybe you're just interested in learning more about Israel yourself? ARTSA has a subscription box that takes you on a journey through the Holy Land. Each quarter, they feature a different city in Israel and tell its story past and present, while sourcing amazing items not found anywhere else from 7 to 8 local artisans. ARTSA provides a mix of food, gifts, and magnificent content that delivers the Holy Land to your doorstep, all while supporting the small businesses and people who call the Holy Land home. Grab your code in the show notes for 25% off of your ARTSA box. ARTSA Christina Reisinger. That's ARTZA KRISTINA RISINGER. And I want to thank you for joining us on Faith Breathed Hope, where you gain inspiration and motivation to renew hope and discover purpose in any circumstance. Please like and share this podcast and give us a review on iTunes. Be blessed.